As we begin this year, we want to start focusing on our virtues of the week. Now, unfortunately, this past week, we missed our first week video on faith. However, today I want to take some time to look at the virtue of faith, and we'll combine it with the virtue of hope, which is quite natural anyways, because they're two of the three theological virtues, the third one being the virtue of charity. The thing with each of the three theological virtues is that they're infused virtues. And so that means that we can't just simply work on them and become better at them like something like we could with justice. However, we can either open ourselves up to them or close ourselves off from them. And so it is quite important that we're keeping ourselves open. So as we start, we look first at the virtue of faith. And what is it that the virtue of faith actually does? Well, what it helps us to do as people is it perfects our intellect. And so this is important because faith gives us the ability to accept what has been revealed by God to the world as true. And when we're able to do that, what happens is that we put on a whole new worldview. We start to see things differently. So when we're talking about the virtue of faith, what we're talking about really in particular are those things that we say in our creed. So when we're praying our creed at Mass, or when we're praying the creed, when we're praying the Rosary, all of those things that we say, that we believe, those we accept because Jesus Christ has revealed them, or God has revealed them to us. So I believe in one God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, and so on and so forth. This is important, very important, because what we say we believe should, in fact, affect the way in which we live our lives. So, for example, if you look at Dr. Jerome Lejeune, who was a French geneticist, he found the cause of Down syndrome. And after finding the cause of Down syndrome, the medical community, in order to eradicate this disease from being on the earth, what they wanted to do then was to kill any of the babies that they found with that particular gene. Now, Dr. Lejeune, obviously, he had a little bit of authority in this area since he was the one who found it. And so, his opinion on the matter was seen as somewhat important by the medical community. And he fought very hard because of his Catholic faith, because of his faith that God is a good God, and that God who creates all things, creates human beings with dignity, no matter how it is that they are asked to live out their life. And so he fought very hard that what was not acceptable is to kill God's creation, in particular his creation that he's created in his own image and likeness. It's because he had faith that what God had said is true, that each one of us is created in the image and likeness of God, that we cannot simply throw a person, a human being, away. And so faith, when we lay that foundation properly, it helps us to stand firm in the ways in which we live. Now, as we talk about faith, the foundation is laid, and we get into the virtue of hope. Now, hope should follow very naturally from faith, because what is one of the things that we believe by faith? Well, we believe that there's a heaven, and we believe that there's a God in heaven, and we believe that he's calling each one of us, after this life is past, to live with him forever in heaven. And ultimately, that is what hope is. It's that the promises that God has made to us about how we are called to live eternally with him, that's true, right? Hope is not about, hoping that my parents will buy me a nice red Ferrari when I turn 16. Hope is that I believe that when Christ says I'm saved, and if I desire it, and I take that and I accept that I am. And so when we look at faith and hope, that helps us to stand firm. Hope in our life as we're going through, how does that affect our day-to-day life? Well, if you look at the way in which a person might take different happenings in their life, right? So I'm having a bad day. Perhaps I have some friends or family having arguments, this, that, and the other thing. I can always know through faith, right, that there's something more, and that I have a Father in heaven that loves me over and above all things, even more than my own parents or my friends or my family. I also know that just because somebody wants to pressure me into doing something, I know who I am as I've been created by God. And I know that even if things aren't perfect here in this world, I know that forever, so long as I receive Christ as he's asking me to, and I love him and receive his love, that this isn't all that there is, right? I ask you, what is more real? A place where perhaps we live for 70 or 80 years if we're strong? Or is the place that's more real the place where we will live for eternity? That's what hope brings. And so, my dear students, as we go through this school year, we will be bringing you little videos from myself and from hopefully a number of others, just to go into a little bit into each of the virtues of, right now, faith and hope, and then next week, charity. And so I pray you have a great day and a great week. God bless.